welcome to the Tactical Dad Podcast. I'm Matthew Cook, your host, and this is episode 11, and we're going to talk about best handgun for a woman and the best handgun for an entry-level man. So let's get into it. So I can come at this firsthand because it wasn't that long ago that me and my wife went through this whole process. So I still remember it very clearly. My wife doesn't shoot as much as I do. She's not into it as much as I am, but she is on board with the whole concept of owning a firearm, being familiar with how to use them, operate them to protect our family. So it wasn't just me, it was me and my wife. We started this initially together. So first thing we did was we looked around, spoke to people, read things, listened to things to find out what is the best gun for a woman. What's the best handgun for a woman that's going to be using it for potentially conceal and carry, or it's basically going to be at home, ready for home defense and obviously to practice with, but it's primarily going to be for home defense. So we heard obviously of a bunch, and my wife held multiple and I was there with her, and it was pretty there was a common theme, and it was between the SIG P365 and the Smith Wesson Shield EZ, or just the Smith Wesson M&P 22 compact, which it's not the EZ, but it's got many features like the EZ Smith & Wesson does have. Now, granted, it's a 22, so it doesn't shoot. The bullets don't pack as much of a punch, but there's a misconception there. They can still do deadly damage to a human being. So anyway, she held a few, and something to know, which is quite important, is my wife was brand new. She'd never shot a gun before. She'd done skeet shooting sometimes at wedding parties, but that's about it. So she's new to it, so she hadn't developed the skill to hold a pistol, fire it, and deal with the recoil. So her hand strength wasn't what some other people that are more familiar with shooting guns is. So when considering that, it was clear that the SIG wasn't a good fit. So the Smith & Wesson, the M&P 22 compact, it seemed to be easier to manipulate, easier to move around, easier to hold. She said it felt different and it felt better in her hand, which I can attest to that for the male side on mine when we get there. So she went with that. The recoil was better to handle if you don't have the strength of a more advanced shooter. The recoil was easier to handle. Its general ease of use, loading it, racking it, was just, I made a few important points to actually get across to you. So racking it, loading it was much easier, and that's apparent if you go out and try this. You know, it's got the magazines themselves have the load assist tabs. So if you can get to YouTube and watch this podcast, you'll see there's a little tab on the magazine. Makes it easy, just pull it down like that, and pop the bullet in. Done. And I remember first ever time I put bullets in a magazine, I was like pushing down and sliding it in, pushing down, sliding it in, and my thumbs were not torn up. So for someone that's new, getting into it, and that's not going to be using it as much, right? Just going to practice with it and use it for home defense, then I'd possibly conceal carry. This is perfect. Easy to load a magazine, easy to put it in, easy to rack it, easy to load it, and then you can even hear that sound when you feel it and do it. It's super easy. It's got the manual. You'll see on the video. It's got the manual safety. It's really easy to flick on and off. Super easy, and that's primarily why the other version, the Easy, is called that. So this has the 22 compact has similar characteristics to that. So this ended up being her choice, and I would say the preferred choice for a woman's handgun is the Smith Wesson M&P 22 compact. Yes, it is a 22, so technically the bullets don't pack as much of a punch as with a 9mm, but with some training, it still does serious damage. And these magazines can hold 10 rounds, so if you're relatively decent of a shot, no human being standing after 10 rounds, not even 5 of these things. So that's a good shout. So moving on for a man, entry-level man, I tried a few out. I went with what everyone was saying across the board. Ended up being, people were saying the Glock 19 Gen 5 or the Smith Wesson Shield EZ 9mm, or just the Smith Wesson Shield 9mm without the EZ. I went with the EZ because I was brand new at the time, and I don't know, it just feels super comfortable in my hand. So it's just like an extra safety feature. If you don't fully push down, like you see there, if you don't fully push down on that, then it's not going to fire. It's like another safety. It's got the manual safety too. And then even just like racking this, super clean, super easy. The weight of it feels nice in my hand, the size of it, and it's firing 9mm. You know, no humans standing just standing after being hit by one of these, especially at hollow point. So really, really nice gun. I would say certainly my preferred as at the time an entry-level shooter. I still love it, but I prefer something else because I'm now better than I used to be. So, but it has the same with the magazines, like as the load assist tabs, slightly different to my wife's, but it's still got the load assist tabs, so you can just pop that down, put your bullet in there. So just super easy. This thing can hold 8 rounds. So easy load of the magazine, easy loading the gun, super easy to rack it, not too heavy, seems and feels very easy to maneuver. And I can't tell you how many times I've shot this thing, so that would be my preferred choice as an entry level handgun for a man. The M&P, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield EZ 9mm, or even just the M&P Shield, because they do both versions. And you can get it with the manual safety or not. You can get it with or without. But pretty sweet guns. All right, that's all from me today. I'll see you next time.